So I am here sitting down with Leikyn Bravo, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's me.
All right, I just want to make sure I was pronouncing it right because I had a lot to drink that night that
we met?
yes.
Okay.
So
Good.
you were performing at Underground Lounge.
Yeah.
But you had just gotten back from touring.
That was my last tour stop, yeah. So I had just finished up my Scandinavian leg before flying to Chicago. So it was literally, I landed October 5th, and then my show in Chicago was October 6th. So
Yeah. Were you like jet lagged or anything like that? Because I feel like
yeah.
that's like a long flight, right?
Oh yeah, it was a very long flight. For me, starting my set, I think it was almost 4 a.m. in the time zone that I just had come from.
Okay.
I mean, I was still having fun on stage, but there was a time, I will say, bless my drummer's heart, like, I love him. We've known each other since college. I did turn around and look at him, and I was like, what are we playing next? I was just very tired.
So, like, they traveled with you, right? You don't have, like, do you have a different...
So I do something a little different than most artists do.
Okay.
I mean, there's pros and cons to it. So I like to hire a new drummer and new background dancers every city I go to.
Oh, okay.
For a few reasons. And if you're watching this podcast, like, feel free to take this from me. Like, I'm not going to hold it back. But yeah, so one, it allowed me to give performing opportunities to locals of that city.
Okay.
And not only grew my network as a musician, but it also helped grow their network. So from networking, it was a great thing. From financial standpoint, I didn't have to pay for lodging or travel fees for a band that was always consistently with me.
That's true.
And on top of that, now these people that I'm working with for the first time, they're inviting their friends, their family, and these are people that may have not necessarily heard of me before. So it was a great opportunity for marketing too.
Yeah.
The only con is, like, I would meet a lot of these people for the first time on stage. So that was kind of the gamble I took with them.
So do you have, like, a touring manager that, like, goes around with you and helps kind of coordinate the fact that you're hiring new people?
So I usually take care of all the hiring myself, only because I like to know kind of who I'm playing with, and I'll run through, like, auditions. I ask for people to send me an audition, so I like to see those myself. I do work with a promoter, or I did. Now that my tour's over, I don't. And he handled all the venue bookings and told me what cities, what dates, and that kind of thing.
Okay. That's nice. That you don't have to, like, handle every single aspect of the tour.
No, it was really nice.
Because so when you travel to different cities, do you get to, like, stop and, like, see things in the different cities? Like, get to, like, kind of take in the culture of that city?
So it kind of depends. When I did my Scandinavia leg of it, I really insisted that I have some extra time because I really wanted to see some of the cities out there and really experience the culture. When I was doing just the US leg of it, some cities I spent more time, like, I think Los Angeles, I was there maybe a week. But other cities like New York City, I was there just for the day of the show.
Okay, and then you, like, flew out that night?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just kind of depended on how the schedule went.
So do you prefer when it's, like, just, like, you stop it and go, or do you prefer hanging out for a couple days?
I prefer to hang out for a couple days, especially when I'm doing these shows. Sometimes I'm meeting new artists that are opening for me or otherwise. And I love to spend time with them and, like, pick their brains about how their journey has been going. Or, like, we'll sit down and we might write a song together. Plus, I'd like to see the city. So I'd rather get, like, at least a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you actually debuted your first solo album in 2018, correct?
2021.
2021.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what was that like, going from, like, going and doing your own, like, solo album?
It was very different because my career has kind of been a mix of a lot of things. So I started my entertainment career when I was 12. I booked, like, my first Broadway Chicago show. So I was doing musical theater. When I was 18, I joined, like, an electronic dance music group, and then we were doing, like, a lot of clubs and festivals. So straight off of, like, EDM and having to release my own music, and it was just a completely different vibe. It was scary at first because, I mean, this was my first step into, like, showing people, like, oh, I'm Leikyn Bravo and this is what I bring to the table as a musician. But I mean, you got to take the first step to go somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you, like, what kind of sparked your interest in, like, entertainment as a whole?
Oh, I mean, if you ask my parents, they'll tell you a different story. They'll tell you I was, like, trying to sing even as a baby. But getting into the whole industry, it was actually a friend of mine in middle school. She was like, hey, there's an audition for the musical. You should come audition. And I was like, I don't sing.
Yeah.
I was just the orchestra kid.
So like you played a bunch of instruments? Or...
Oh, no, I just played viola. So
Okay.
like literally the very basic orchestra instrument.
Okay.
But yeah, so she inspired me to do my first audition. And halfway through singing my audition song, the vocal director stopped me and she was like, where have you been? I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I've been in class. I mean, and she's like, no, you need to be a singer. And since that day, I just kind of continued on with it. I was like, all right, cool. This is what I'll do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was, what'd you say? How
I was 12 when that happened. Yeah.
Okay. So from the age of 12, you just kind of ran with that. And...
Oh, yeah. Been nonstop.
But okay, so you got your start in theater. You never had any desire to like get on stage before then other than orchestra?
No, not really. And even orchestra, I was just kind of a casual member. I was happy just kind of like sitting there playing whatever they gave me.
You're like, I'm just chilling. This is fun. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you are familiar with the viola section, but like we're not the soloists or anything. We're just the ones that play like long notes to fill in the chords. So we're really just chilling in the orchestra.
So going from that, you went to, what made you, like, was that kind of what sparked your interest in Berklee?
Berklee, again, was kind of also a very random thing. I had actually exclusively applied to acting programs for college.
Okay.
With the exception of Berklee, because I had a friend, again, just like friends impacting my life choices. I had a friend call me and was like, hey, I know you're thinking about acting, but I know you've written a few songs in high school. You might be a great fit for Berklee. And I was like, what's Berklee? So then I auditioned and I turned in my application. They asked me to audition like 2 days later. And then after that, I immediately got accepted in. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you here. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I went to Berklee.
And Berklee, so moving to like the West Coast.
East
right?
Coast.
It's East Coast.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Berklee College of Music.
So it's in Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving to the East Coast, what was that transition like, moving from, you've kind of been in this area your whole life at that point?
To be honest, I really didn't think it was too bad of a transition as far as location goes. I mean, I felt like Boston, oh gosh, I hope this doesn't offend anyone. I felt like Boston was kind of just like a shorter version of Chicago.
Okay, I hear that a lot. I've never been to Boston.
Yeah, they've got a river down like the center of the city. All the buildings are just shorter and people are still nice. So it felt pretty similar. I think the biggest culture shock was just attending classes because it was my first time away from musical theater and classical music and having to jump into more contemporary-based education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So, I mean, I always think that, you know, even if I'm traveling east, it's always an easier transition. I mean, the time zone, whatever, like it's such an easy transition. New York, any bigger city, LA, if you were to drop me in LA, I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. Like, it's like not my place.
LA is definitely a different city. I actually used to live in West Hollywood out in LA for like a small time. Yeah. Different types of people, different vibe to the city.
Well, it's so spread out.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much. I think
very
for that
spread
reason.
out. And you have to drive everywhere.
Yeah, like I like New York. I love Chicago. Chicago is my home.
Yeah.
It's where I'll be for probably ever. But I mean, if it is up to me, like I'm never leaving. But yeah, I just feel like going east is so much easier than going west, and it's just, I think it's the time change and then also the layout of the city.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has lived both East Coast, West Coast, Central, North, South, everywhere, I mean, I think I've been successful in finding like my home in everywhere I go. But if I had a preference, I think Chicago is still my hometown. So
when you move to a new place, what's the first thing you do?
Unpack my boxes.
Other than
like,
okay. Like, I mean, like, what's like your first thing? Like, all right, like now that I'm settled in, like, what are you doing to
meet people? I usually try to go to an open mic.
Okay.
Yeah, because one, I like to perform, and two, that kind of introduces me to some people in the scene. So that's what I did when I moved to Chicago for the first time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So aside from Berklee, you then went and got your master's, correct?
Yes, I have a master's of business from Urbana-Champaign, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign.
Yeah. That's a mouthful, but
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. So was that different going to like not musically inclined college, or do you feel like it was just kind of like an extension of high school?
To be honest, unpopular opinion, I felt like it was a little bit of an extension of my undergrad in a weird way. I know Berklee is solely a music conservatory type environment. However, within my major, I was a songwriting major. We did not just sit there and write songs all day.
Yeah.
We had to take extensive courses in music law and copyright and business. So then having to switch over to just the regular business, I saw a lot of things that were still applicable from my bachelor's going into my master's. So when we would do a marketing unit and we would talk about social media, all of a sudden these things having to market myself in previous bands or as an individual artist, those things started to make sense because this is something I studied. Or even when we talked about copyright law and patenting, it was kind of a similar process to trying to get a copyright on your own original music. So yeah. I thought that was kind of an interesting crossover. Although I was like a pandemic student, so all my classes were online. So I don't
For Berklee?
No, for my master's.
For your master's.
So like I never actually stepped foot on the campus except for to graduate.
Okay, so did you take it from Chicago? Like you were in Chicago when you?
Yeah, pretty much. I just took it from my laptop.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts? Like, so did you lived in Chicago, like the city of Chicago, not like suburbs, right?
No, I did high school out in the suburbs.
Okay.
Moved to Boston, moved to LA, came back to the suburbs of Chicago during the pandemic because I was able to get a job and the pandemic kind of shut down.
Yeah, and you're
entertainment
like,
a little bit.
To the city, yeah.
Yeah, but then once things started to clear up a little bit, I moved back to the city. So.
Okay, what suburb did you do high school in?
Barrington.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
Northwest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because yeah. So basically, I was just curious of like because I moved in the pandemic. Okay. Like I moved to downtown like in 2020 of like March of 2020. Like I signed a lease. I was like, nothing could go wrong. And then I was like, everything went wrong.
Okay, but that's how it was when I moved to Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles January of 2020. And I was like, nothing's going to go wrong. I'm going to start my career here in LA. And literally by March 2020, there was no groceries on the shelf. Like you could not even buy an onion from the grocery store.
Yeah.
There were no jobs. Everyone was freaking out. I was like, okay. So I called up.
I think it's weird that you couldn't buy toilet paper.
Toilet paper, I would have been fine with. I just wanted food. You can only live off of like rice and frozen fruit for so long.
But I'm saying like it's weirder that like they ran out. I feel like toilet paper is so much easier to make than an onion. Onion, there's like at least, a long time. You got to grow it. You got to plant it. You got to do those things.
This is true.
Where toilet paper is made in a factory somewhere.
Yeah.
And you could only buy like a couple rolls at a time.
You know what? They wanted the TP. The people spoke, and that was what they wanted.
Yeah, it's probably because they were out of all the natural food, so everyone was living off like Hot Pockets and stuff. They were going through toilet paper 10 times faster. So that makes sense, I guess. But it's still crazy. It was a crazy time, and I'm glad that it's kind of like slowing down and everything's actually speeding up.
I mean, pandemic was a crazy time, but I mean, in a way, it put me as an individual artist on the map. So it was good in that sense.
So when did you release your first single, or was it
as an individual artist?
Oh, so that was your album. You released a full album. Okay.
I just went for it. I was like, you know what, all in, let's go.
Because I feel like a lot of people usually release like a single or whatever to test the water, and then they go full album. But you just were like,
no. So for me, I had come off of just being in a band. I had traveled a little bit. I moved out to LA, came back. It was in the beginning of 2021. I kind of felt like, you know what, I think I might be done with music. I've been doing music since I was 12. I mean, it might just be nice to figure out what's next in life.
Yeah.
But I had, again, friends changing the course of my life. I had a few friends call me right after the holiday season, and they're like, hey, we know you're thinking about leaving the industry, but you've never released a song under just your name. You've always had other artists perform your songs or under the band or however. You should just release something, put something out there under your name.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking, and then I couldn't decide on just one song. So I was like, you know what? I'll just put out an album. It's 7 songs. No big deal. It was an album called Songs You'll Never Hear because I really didn't think anyone was going to hear this music.
I like the title of that, by the way.
Yeah.
I did see that, so.
Well, so did a lot of other people apparently because everyone heard these songs. So
Yeah, and you like hit like, I mean, collectively like over 100,000 on just Spotify.
Yeah, in 6 months, because I got the end of the year review, like wrap up from Spotify, and that was only maybe 6 months into my music being out. It was streamed in 147 countries and over like 100,000 times just on Spotify alone. So
with not expecting anything to come of it, you were like, whatever, songs you'll never hear, releasing it, and then seeing that, like the data from that, like what was like that initial thought or feeling that you had?
I mean, it was exciting. A lot of shock. I remember celebrating in my office. I was like, guys, look, people are listening to this stuff. I think my favorite part of it was when it first started taking off. I was fortunate to be a part of a few interviews for different publications. And then I got to release music videos because there was a huge demand for it. But my favorite part of it all was seeing the different names of the playlists that my songs got added to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad. There are some sad people in this world, very sad name playlists. But I mean, my music had a time and place for them, so I'm happy.
So with, were those like, you were like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write like an album? Or was it like, I just have these songs that I've written over the years? Was it more that?
No, actually. So one song I carried over from like my college days.
Okay.
But all the other songs, I think there's 7 total on the album. So the 6 other songs were just songs that I just wrote that month that I was like, yep, it's going to go on the album. We're just going to call it there. I think one of them I actually wrote at work, and I was like talking to my coworker. I was like, give me some lyric inspiration. I was like, tell me something.
Well, what did you used to do before?
Yeah, so during the pandemic and before my music kind of took off, I was actually working for a real estate company.
Okay.
Just managing their front desk. So I was just cashing people's earnest money checks and closing checks, reviewing closing documents, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Answering phone calls.
Pretty normal.
Yeah, pretty normal stuff.
Yeah. Usually you hear like, someone who's like going into music, they're like, oh, we talked to one person who was a teacher, and then he was like, once the kids in the classroom started hearing my music, he's like, that's when I had to leave. Like, he's like, because I was like, oh, like, I think he had one song called Fuck the Popo. Ooh. And he was like, yeah, we're going to have to turn in our 2 weeks. Like,
oh my God.
But yeah, then he like just full sended it. So, I mean, that's awesome that you're able to do that now.
Yeah. No, I worked in a real estate office, and bless everyone's heart, it was a real estate office, super small, very far up north in Illinois. A lot of the agents who worked there, it felt like family to me. Like they felt like they could be like my aunts, uncles, like my parents. Yeah. So to see all of them like get down and they're like dancing to some of my music, no matter what the context of the song was, I was like, all right, cool. Like, all right.
What would you say your biggest like musical inspirations are? Like when you like growing up listening to music, like what were the artists if you had to pick like 3?
So I would say there's definitely a huge change. So the music that I'm going to be releasing and the music that I took on tour has a completely different set of inspirations compared to what I grew up listening to.
Okay.
I grew up listening to artists like Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga, Ingrid Michaelson, things like that.
Yeah.
I will say my music now that will be coming out, I think, in March of 2023 is more inspired by like Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, Doja Cat, more recent pop artists.
Yeah. All great artists, though. That you
oh my God, I love them.
But do you still listen to like the Mariah Carey and all that stuff? Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
I feel like there's always those songs that kind of carry over.
Yeah, Lady Gaga was my life growing up. I dressed up as her for Halloween like 3 years in a row. So
well, she's still killing it. She's like I guess I don't notice her music coming out as much because I see her in so many more movies.
And I know she's been on tour, like an international tour this last year, because one of my background dancers from Los Angeles was in her tour as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, super cool.
Look at that. You grew up listening to Lady Gaga, and now it's like...
Yeah.
You're like, I used one of her dancers.
I was like, so cool, amazing. Literally all the social media posts came out, and I was like, that's my dancer.
But it's got to be cool to see that, like, especially because you like pull people from the different cities.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be cool to like see them like, oh, look, they're doing, like this with this person now.
Oh, yeah. It's been so cool to kind of follow everyone's journey. So, like, obviously, the one dancer from LA, he went on to dance with Lady Gaga. My drummer in LA plays literally everyone under the sun in Los Angeles. I think one of my dancers from Nashville ended up opening up her own dance studio. So that's been
awesome.
really sweet to kind of see go down. So it's been a lot of that, for sure. I know my Chicago girlies, like, because I played Chicago twice on my tour.
Yeah, I saw that on your website.
So, yeah.
Because the one that I was at,
it was my last one,
but it was, I didn't see it on your website.
Oh, no, because I hadn't updated my website.
So it was, but like I didn't see it. So I was like, oh, she hit Chicago. So I was like, oh, this was on the same tour. I'm like, but that, so I saw the first one and I was like, oh, okay. So was it like a late addition to the tour?
So, there are many ups and downs of being a musician. I actually had to take off the official like dates and times from my website. I would announce them on my social media and I would advertise there, but I had to take them off of my website because after my first Chicago show, I actually had one of the fans who was a little bigger of a fan than others and actually broke into my home.
Oh, wow.
So for safety reasons, I had to take off my exact location and times from my website.
Okay.
But social media was okay because I had blocked that account and any accounts that would be started from the same user. So that was a little bit safer.
Yeah, well, we don't want to see you have like a John Lennon sort of situation happen. So that's good.
So
good that you took that precaution.
That's why you see on there, like after the Chicago there
were no dates. It was just saying that you were hitting those cities. So
pretty much, like even the Scandinavia leg was such a challenging a marketing challenge to like advertise these shows, get people to these shows without having to like post it on my website or anything like that. Yeah. So I was solely relying on social media at that point. Yeah. And word of mouth.
Well, but you had links to the tickets, right?
Yeah, on social media.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, that's how people find out.
Yeah.
I mean, rarely do I look at a website unless social media absolutely gives me no like information.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where everything's moving anyway.
That's kind of how I felt too. So I was like, all right. I mean, it worked out. I still had people in all of my shows, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like, I feel like you did an amazing job at Underground Lounge.
Thank you.
And and it was like packed that night too.
It was really crazy. Yeah.
I've been there at least 2 other times, but like, I've never seen it that packed. Like for that, like, what was it? Like they called it like a mini fest.
Yeah. Like it's just a miniature festival, but
it was cool. Cause like, it was such a different mix of music.
Yeah.
Like, cause like when you came up, I was like, there were like 3 people that kind of came up and like rapped, and I was like,
well, we are in Chicago, which is a lot of rap and rock. So.
But I was like, okay, and I was like, I don't know if I can take another like rap person. So like, I actually closed out my tab when you were coming up, but then you started, and I was like, I opened up another tab because I was like, oh, okay, I can listen to this, and like my girlfriend was like, this is actually really good, I like it. And and then her other friend was like, she's like, I could stay here all night if she's gonna keep performing. So like they loved you. And then I was like, I'm going to go see if she'll come on the podcast. And then that's how we met.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't know because I was like, like you just got off tour, all this stuff. I was like, I don't know if she's going to text me or whatever. And then I saw you were like, hey, it's Leikyn Bravo. I was like, no way. I was like, she texted.
Yeah, no, I love stuff like this. So of course I was going to text.
Well, no, but I was like, I didn't know. Because, like when you're like moving so fast, I like caught you in the middle of packing up.
Yeah, I was packing up the merch table just because.
So I was like in the middle of that. I was like, I didn't know if she was going to. Like, you remember that you like there were so many people. There was like a line I had to wait in to talk to you. So
yeah, it was crazy. I will say my Chicago loves, they showed out for the show. So I was like, props to you guys.
So that's why I was like, I don't know what'll happen, but here we are.
Yeah.
When is the next? What's the next thing that like fans can expect?
Yeah. So I am working with a producer I actually connected with via TikTok. So yay, social media. We are hitting the studio in December. So I've already kind of started the preliminary tracks, and he's going to help me kind of finish off the vocal production, and then he'll do the mix and mastering. And then we're going to plan out releases starting in March. And there'll be 3, we're going to do singles this time. So the opposite of most people where they do singles and then an album. We're doing an album and then singles. So starting in March, the first one will come and then the next 2 will follow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, so check those out. And then where can people find you?
Literally everywhere. I will say my distributor is really good about making sure my music is accessible. So as long as people know the name of a song or they know my name, Leikyn Bravo, Leikyn. You can find me Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, pretty much everywhere.
And then Instagram,
everything is Leikyn Bravo. So
yeah, so it's
the
easy.
hardest part is just spelling my first name.
But that'll be the title of this episode. So
yeah, exactly. So look at the title, and then you can
go from there.
Yeah, go from there. But yeah, my website has options. All my social media has options to find my music. Music is accessible for everyone, whether you're a Spotify user, Apple Music user. If you just want to check out music videos on YouTube, that's a vibe too. It's all there.
All right, one last question.
Yeah, what up?
What does your writing process consist of?
I love this question because the first time I ever got interviewed, somebody asked me this, and without thinking, I just said snacks. I don't know how that was an answer. I guess my writing process, it's very just random. I don't think I'm ever that one person who's just like, you know what, I start with a guitar part, then I write lyrics. It's just kind of whatever is inspiring me in that moment, whether it's a drum beat or it's just like a sonar, something that I heard on TV, on some random TV show, or it could just be lyrics that I like dreamed of and woke up and I was like, let me write these down real quick. So it could be anything.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I like that, it can pull from literally any aspect of your life. I mean, because we've talked to people that have, like they're like, well, I have to sit down, I have to pour coffee, I have to do this, and I have to. But then there's other people that are like, sometimes I just jot it down, and like something as simple as that. But
I grew up reading, so like reading.
I grew up avoiding reading.
No, I love books, and I love how authors have this ability to kind of create like new worlds and new characters. So I think that's kind of what I feel like with my music. I'm like, you know what? Let me create like a whole story and a whole world for this song to kind of live in.
Huh. So I think that's why I like movies.
Yeah.
Like the exact same, what you just said, but like, technically they're doing it with words too, but, someone's reading them to me.
Yeah, someone's reading it for you. You don't have to read it yourself. But yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my process. I just like to think of a story and then figure out where it's going to start, and it builds from there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, Leikyn, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. And I want to invite you back whenever you want. Like when you release your next thing, you come on, talk about it.
Let's do it.
And then give us an update on your next, whatever's next to come. And I had a great time talking to you. One last shout out. You can find her everywhere, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube.
Social media, all of them.
Google. You can find her at Leikyn Bravo, and don't be shy. Just go ahead and subscribe to her on Instagram, or follow her on Instagram, subscribe to her on Spotify, do all of the things, and listen to her music. It's definitely worth it. You're gonna love it. Leikyn, thank you again.
Thanks.